SoFi investors, the stock just hit a major milestone today. It's been a great week. We're up over 11%. In today's video, I got a great one lined up for you today. We're going to go over what that milestone is. I went on Fintel this morning and it is a doozy. Very exciting stuff to talk about in today's video. We're also going to break down the overall market a little bit. Stocks I'm buying, stocks I'm selling, stocks I'm looking at purchasing. So make sure you stick around for the video. Let's get into it. All right, all my SoFi and stock market investors, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that like button, it does really help us get into YouTube's algorithm. It's a great free way to support the channel. And as always, you got to subscribe for more SoFi and stock market updates. And one quick note, I'm running a survivor pool on my NFL channel. If you want to get in, 20 bucks. I'll leave a link for it in the description down below. You pick a team that's going to win that week. You win. You move on to the next round. The winner, if we fill all 500 spots, gets 10 grand. Now, onto the SoFi video. Great week, man. Great week, up 11% over the past month, up 3.5% over the last 6 months. We're still down about 14% and still year to date down a whopping 33.07%. Huge bummer, but I'm hoping we could kind of bounce out of the zone it's been trading in. I hope you guys bought when SoFi dumped like a mother F off of earnings in that 14.98 range to 15.25. I did add 400 more shares of SoFi. If we take a look, this is how many shares of SoFi I currently own in my big dog account, 6,610. I do have about 1,000 other shares in various accounts, but in this account, we own $121,000 worth of SoFi stock. Pretty cool stuff there, man. And if you want to check out my overall portfolio, guys, here it is. 2-year change up 188.88%, 150 grand. Just another reason why you should hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Here it is, SoFi investors, the big dog news, the big milestone that SoFi just hit according to Fintel's latest reporting. Institutional shares just crossed 900 million and over 70% institutional ownership. That is a remarkable feat. We're closing in on almost 1 billion shares owned by institutions. That is absolutely wild. And as you can see, the institutional ownership since 2022 has been up and to the right. We've seen a huge increase, pretty stationary and stagnant from 22 to 24, but since 2024, man, it has been up and to the right. Institutions are gobbling up shares. And not just little institutions, the big dogs, some of the biggest owners of SoFi stock just increased their position, which is crazy, right? Okay, State Street Corp, who owns 28 million shares plus, just added another crazy amount, 18% more to their current holdings. Wild. 18% increase. And then we also had an addition of BlackRock, 17% value change in the green for these companies that have already owned tons of SoFi shares. All right, if we take a look at some of the filings from the last month, State Street Investment Management owned 27.3 million shares of SoFi, and now that is up to 28.7 million shares of SoFi stock. And if we take a look at one of the other big additions to the party, BlackRock. BlackRock currently owned 69 million shares, and with the recent purchases today, bumped up over 70 million shares, 72.4 million shares owned. Wow. The big dogs are continuing to buy SoFi stock. And if we take a look at most of the buys and sells, the negatives means these advisors and groups have sold. And the positive, or without the negative line, means that's the percent value increase in shares owned of these companies. So pretty cool stuff here. These big dogs are continuing to eat. State Street Group, Corp, and BlackRock. BlackRock is just gobbling up all the SoFi shares. Not too many huge owners have been adding to the stock recently until today, with those two companies adding millions of shares to their already dynamic portfolio, 69 to 72 million, and then 27 to over 28 million shares owned by State Street Investment Management and our guys over at BlackRock. So the market's doing pretty good. It's been running hot. We had another good day today. The market, we were up 2.91%, beating the market again for sure. And then I do sell a lot of options right now. We're pretty much about even on the shares I own, but we have definitely killed it with our options. We're up $8,000. As you can see here, we have some serious realized gains this year, up over $63,000 in the big dog account. I'm going to show you everything I currently own in this portfolio. When I have 1 or 2 or 5 shares, I'm kind of just watching the stock for an opportunity to get in or add more shares to my current holdings. Okay, so these little 25 shares have applied, and then we have like 1 share of CoreWeave and QBTS. I'm just kind of watching these, looking for a big dip and then buying the rip. A lot of the AI stocks, when it's down 10, 15, 20% in a day, I'll buy, and then when it shoots up huge on the other end, I'll sell. I've been kind of going back and forth doing that. IonQ, I got some of that. 119 shares of HIMS. I did have about 1,000 shares, but I did trim my position over the last couple of months after the recent run-up, and I've sold a bunch of puts. DraftKings, we own around 700 shares. I do think Comcast is a really good bargain right now, paying about a 5.5% dividend. What I would do if I had some extra cash that I wanted to spend on Comcast is sell some puts. I love selling puts on dividend players because the dividend always stays the same. So if we get this stock at $24 or $23, that's going to increase the dividend yield to over 6%, which is a great return. And as you can see, Comcast has sold off considerably over the last 6 months, down 20%. Not too long ago, it was over $32 a share. So not only can you collect a dividend with this stock, there is potential for 30% upside. When the stock's trading at 25 to 32, you take the 7, you divide it by the current stock price, we're in that 35-ish% range of upside for the stock, which we love. We love dividends where we think we could see a run up in the stock. I did have a ton of Comcast that got into the 30s and I sold it all. And then now I'm like, ooh, it's another buying opportunity. We saw the $32 high. I sold in this range, and then I've been buying. Once it got under 25, 26, $27, I started adding again. I do think Comcast is a really good deal right now in the market with a great dividend. I love that. I also own some CleanSpark. They're an AI/Bitcoin play. I'm, down a little bit. This stock fluctuates so much. I love selling covered calls on this stock. I make a shitload of money selling covered calls. I'm winding them down as the stock decreases, right? So obviously with covered calls, when the stock decreases, the gains on your covered calls increases. So you could get rid of them and push them closer to the current strike date, make some money, and then resell them down the road. I also am starting to build out a position in Netflix. I currently own about $10,000 worth, 132 shares of Netflix. I want to get that, between 250 and 500 shares. Hopefully it'll continue to trade in the 70 range for a little while, because I'm trying to add, 2 to 10 shares per week as it's in this depressed mode. I think Netflix is one of the best studios for media, so I do think this is a good buy moving forward. Nike, I'm kind of in a wait and see mode. I'm down around 15%, collecting a nice little dividend along the way, about 4%. So maybe I'll add some shares here and there. I do want to get my Palantir position to around 700 shares. I was buying heavily when it was in the 120 range. I wish I would have bought even heavier because it's been running like an MF. might be in a period where we need to cool off. The stock has been extremely volatile. It's been up and down and all over the damn place. So I do have a lot of puts I sold on Palantir when it was depressed. So I'm making a lot of money on the shares and the puts. So that's been great for us for this particular portfolio. Redwire is a company that I do like. They're kind of pick and shovel play for the SpaceX industry because SpaceX has been getting obliterated. I think in that $85 to $90 range is where I could start maybe taking a position in SpaceX. And then we got Salesforce, ServiceNow. I'm starting to look into these a little bit more. I sold my Shopify position after it ran up and then it shot down a little bit, so I bought 2 more shares. I want to get it back under 120 bucks before I add any more shares of Shopify. I made a nice little profit on Shopify already, but I do think there's considerable upside still for Shopify. I think it's pretty undervalued. SoFi, makes up over 30% of this portfolio. I'm definitely overweight on SoFi for sure. That's why I'm selling a ton of covered calls. TEM is a AI in hospitals. They kind of use AI in all different aspects of diagnosing different diseases and all different stuff. So that's a position I'm just starting to nibble. And I know Trump owns that stock. Pelosi, I think, owns that stock too. And Uber is a stock I'm definitely looking at. I think it's pretty undervalued. Selling puts in that $65 range makes some sense to me. UEC is a uranium play. And Warner Brothers Discovery, I had 100 shares. I sold most of my position. I'm just waiting for that deal to go through. And Zscaler, I've been watching over the last couple of months. I do own a lot of monthly dividend players, about $15,000 worth that pays me a little dividend every month. And then if we organize this by symbol, I'll show you CleanSpark. I have tons of covered calls, tons and tons. I am not in the money on any of those calls, which is amazing. Everything from 8-7 finished out of the money, so I will be collecting that revenue, booking that revenue for sure. And most of these, anything that's in 2027, I'm waiting for the Octobers to come out, and then I'm going to, because we're up in a lot of these 70%, 60%, 80%. Anything I'm up over 60 to 75%, what I do, especially if it's out several months, I do buy it back at a shorter date around the same price. Just that way I can make the money a little bit quicker, in my opinion. And then also I got tons of Palantir puts. Look at all these puts, baby, on Palantir. And we are up huge. Look at all this green, guys. Oh my God. 700, 800, 300, 500, 300, 500, 400. Just collecting dollar bills, y'all. Dollar bills, y'all. So we're cashing, man. We had 3 165 puts all finished out of the money because what I did was I rolled them to this week from ones I was up huge on that are out in the future. All these 2027s that I'm up huge on, and I'm going to start trying to get them back into 2026. And then obviously I have a ton of calls on SoFi starting in the 17. I am in the money for some of these. Starting next week, I probably will roll them and kick them down the road a little bit to see if I can get out from underneath of these. It's about, I own, well over 6,000 shares. So every one of these is, 800 shares, 400 shares. So that's 1,400. So we're right around 2,500 shares. I'm probably going to roll them out. If you're interested in those type of videos, let me know in the comments down below. But pretty much all of my calls are out of the money, and most of them are in 2026 and early 2027. So we're going to get rid of those calls, and then we're going to launch some more out, maybe in that $35, $40 range over the next 6 months to a year. We take a look at our watch list. Kind of some stocks I'm tracking. I never want to buy stocks at that 52-week high. I think that's a bummer. The change percentage, Bloom Energy was down a little bit today. Cipher Digital, but overall pretty good day in the market. A lot of the stocks I'm watching, SpaceX up huge today. Navitas had a good day. TMC, Rocket Labs, IREN, pretty good day. A lot of these AI stocks had a nice day today. Uber had a really nice day. BXMT, I'm curious if they're going to be able to keep the dividend where it's at. It's at a huge percentage right now. And I do love Blackstone. I always love Blackstone. One of my favorite companies. If you can get this into the $120 range where it was not too long ago, that's another stock I do want to start adding and building out a position in this portfolio. Over the current year, the low was what? Right around $102. So if you can get it around 115, 120, that's kind of where I like this stock. I mean, it prints money. The EPS is always really good. They pay a little bit of dividend too. The forward PE is manageable at 22. And if you get it in that $115 range, the metrics look even better. The dividend yield right around 4%. I love that. All right, if you like these type of videos, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We will catch you on the next video. Peace.